The river that wanted to be a canal?
Yes.
That's a bit of a funny name for a video, isn't it?
Yes. So right behind us is the River Avon. It's one of many in this country, normally referred to as the Hampshire Avon, despite the fact we're in Wiltshire and it ends in Dorset. I don't know, way before Industrial Revolution, people thought that they could move stuff on here and it would help the economy. How right they were. This was potentially the start of modern transportation as we know it. But because it's so far back in history, we're talking 1600s, not a lot known about how this was going to be used as a canal, or what they used to call it back then, a navigation. I'm Paul.
And I'm Rebecca.
Let's crack on and have a look.
Okay.
They started making all these different efforts to turn it into a navigation from the 1550s onwards. They did so between Salisbury and Christchurch.
But we're north of Salisbury at the moment, and that's all south of Salisbury.
Very true, but I couldn't resist coming here. So we're just adjacent to Durrington Walls now and near Stonehenge. And at that period of time, the pre-history time, well, they had routes down to the river as well. And I just thought, I want to see this bit of the river and see the context.
But I think that might be another video.
That's a video for another day. Let's head down to Salisbury and south and actually see if we can try and find some of these bits where they converted the river into a canal.
Okay.
So this is Salisbury. It's a place where 5 rivers meet and of course the start of today's journey and the navigation.
Ah, but can you name the 5 rivers?
Oh, right, okay. West to east. The Nadder, the Avon, the Wylye, the Bourne, and the south bit is the Ebble.
Oh, 5. Well done, I'm impressed.
That's not quite in the right order, but nevertheless. Right, so we're just opposite the boat club, Sea Cadets.
The Sea Cadets, yeah.
And I wonder where they had their wharf, if a wharf was a thing then, because right here, just across the way there, is where the first cut started, and they kind of straightened a lot of the bits of the rivers out, which meant that they could keep the water high because they could hold it in sluices and locks, in pound locks, and all the sorts of different.
Canals and navigations work.
Exactly. And yeah, I wonder if here perhaps was the wharf where they first loaded goods onto it, and maybe the development of the boat club thereafter. Who knows, completely surmising. But just across the way there is where they started the first cut that we know of today. So just the other side of that private sign there is the start of the Avon Navigation, the first cut. But what exactly do we mean when we say the word cut? Let's flip to an old map. Now this is the rather glorious Salisbury, and the main river that heads south from here is the Avon. There's a lot of streams and man-made channels from this river, old mills, meadows, you name it. The river was clearly a hugely valuable resource. Now if we head a little further south from the River Avon, we're going to focus on this particular channel, because you'll note it states Old Canal. This is the cut that we're looking for. Result. Let's go and see what this looks like on the ground. Found it, Rebecca.
And what?
It.
What's it?
It, the thing.
Okay.
What we're looking for today.
Oh, is that what we're looking for?
Totally.
Oh, okay. Well, I found it then because I'm in first.
Oh, look. Yes. Right. So, context. We've travelled about 1.5 miles south east of Salisbury along that cut we mentioned, and we've actually found now evidence of the cut, including a bike or a scooter or something inside the cut. So this is it. This is the first evidence that we have that this existed. The fact that it's here, but also more importantly, just along there you can see a sluice gate. That's more of a modern sluice gate, but here is the exact location of the first lock, and I understand it was a pound lock, a traditional lock in the sense of what you see today on locks on canals, where they had 2 lock gates and they put water in it.
Everything looks like it could be definitely. Yeah.
I'm not sure how close I can get, but I want to have a quick scout down and see if there is anything really old. A lot of old masonry here. Bridge is relatively new in terms of it's been redone. I want to see how far I can get up here and take some cool pictures and see if there is anything older than the more modern sluice that's up there.
So that there is a much more recent sluice gate, again probably because the canal fell out of existence. So they then obviously sluiced it in different places to get back to the use of the meadows probably, and the mills, who had obviously significant influence.
Oh God, blimey. Ow. Well, I think I understand it now. I think I've got a better understanding of how it works, because this is quite deep here. Just the other side of where the weir is that you can see up there now, that's very shallow. So this would work in a traditional pound lock sense. So two gates, if you will. The far one there, obviously that would bank the water up and further upstream, so you'd have a navigable waterway into here, and then you could be lowered into here, because even now back there it's about 4 or 5 feet deep. So you can imagine the water would be much higher in the lock, lowered down to this level, and where it continue on down that way towards the south. That works in my head as a proper normal lock. Understand it? Right, Rebecca, two thoughts.
Yep.
Two thoughts. Number one, how cool is that?
That is really cool.
That's epic. Number two, we need to go through this field because there's a really interesting feature.
But there's a massive herd of cows with their babies. And quite frankly, I'm a bit of a chicken when it comes to that sort of thing.
Fine.
Because all you need is one mum to spook and then you'll be trampled.
There's loads of cows. To get to the other side of the field, we need to drive about 10 miles.
Okay.
Just walk past this gorgeous old chapel. We assume it's like a, what do you say, like the estate?
It's like an estate chapel, isn't it?
Do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot of estates where the people of the time who owned them said, I want a church on my land, I suppose. And that's probably what that was, I'm guessing, maybe?
Yeah, need to be careful now because I'm not sure which way we're going, Rebecca. This is really rather gorgeous. I'm quite glad that we had to take this different route, because this quite loud. There's a big mill down there. All this area has got loads of sluices and different channels, and again I presume because of the mills it would have been along here. So from 1550 to 1675 there were a number of moderately recorded attempts to make this navigable, insofar as they surveyed it a couple of times and they said yes, we can do this. They cleared a lot of the sluices, all of the ancient ones they referred to, and again that was said that was because they were going to try and make it navigable, but nothing really came to fruition. That was until 1675 when there was an act to make it navigable to Christchurch from New Sarum. Right, here's the spot, Rebecca. Here's the bridge in front of us, which I hoped would be on the cut, or what we thought would be a cut.
This is a very wide cut.
However, Rebecca's just highlighted the problem here, which is it's super wide. I don't think this is it. I mean, it's massively deep. What's that, 7 foot deep, 8 foot deep?
I'll go 9.
That's really deep. And it's massive. This looks like a normal river, despite the fact that the main part of the Avon went back over there where we were with the mills. I don't think this is a man-made cut. However,
that way,
looking through there over the sty, that could be. But again, I just think it doesn't quite feel right. Oh, look at the little dog gate.
Oh,
that's for your dog, isn't it?
It's like a little fork.
Yeah.
Oh. That's so cool. Your dog can get through, but.
Do you know what? I haven't seen one of those before, but it's obvious it's
yeah.
a dog thing.
And then the cattle, sheep, whatever the hell you've got round and round.
How cool is that?
Cool.
Right, thoughts, Rebecca?
Well, it could be, because it's just dried up. If it's not been used, it could have just dried up. And it is small enough to be a cut rather than...
Yeah, there's not a lot though, is there? Unless it's just been... I mean, bear in mind, this canal cut navigation went out of use
1720, sort of 30 or 40 years. So we're really trying to find something that's been out of use for best part of 300 years.
Which it would make sense. It would have dried up and
been filled
withered
in,
away.
and yeah, could be, but not convinced though. Not convinced. So we've had another bit which we thought could look like a branch off of the main river, but on inspection of a more modern map it actually says mill stream, so I guess that does what it says on the tin, right?
I guess so, yeah.
But we thought we'd come and have a look anyway, although yet again private waters, strictly private property. There are literally 4-5 signs here saying you can't go forward. Not only that, but there's also barbed wire on the top of a gate. I mean, how sort of aggressive is that in terms of... I'll stop being grumpy about the whole situation because that's not how I want to come across. I do love what we do and love exploring and everything, so it's all good. Right, we'll go this way and we'll have a look at the river's edge because 1675, finally we're going to have a navigation. Salisbury Corporation say they'll do it themselves because they can't find any contractor to do it, so they appoint an engineer, Sam Fortree. I'm walking past the private sign, Rebecca.
You rebel, you.
Rebel.
Even that's covered in barbed wire.
Yeah. So Sam Fortree takes it on and does it underway at the cost of £2,000, and they do make headway. However, within 2 years workers stopped. Now they say because they couldn't have enough workers, which seems a bit strange at the time, but nevertheless they do. 2 years later they said, we're going to give up, we're not going to do it anymore. It's obviously not something that's going to be a profitable major venture. If only they knew what was coming within the next 100 years. However, after 1677, some other private individuals said actually there is money in this to be made, so why don't we ourselves take it on? And they did, and they continued doing it, and with another 7 years or so, 1684, the navigation was finally open. But we'll be damned if we can find it.
Nope.
You might be wondering what Rebecca's doing in the field just here. I've no idea. I can't answer that question. I wish I could answer that question, but I can't. We could ask her in person. Rebecca, what are you doing?
I don't know, I've always wanted to do that, just go through a field of corn.
Right, we are now in Ringwood. We're nearing the end of today's journey, but not quite. Apparently Ringwood had the third pound lock, I think the third and final. We tried doing a lot of research there, but everything is sort of guesswork from the research, but it's all maybe it was because of the era. So come around about 1699, 1700, the canal, the navigation was well underway. We know the opening date, not because of a massive ceremony, but moreover because they said that 2 barges, 25 tons each, or 2 vessels, 25 tons each, had made the journey from Christchurch to Salisbury. 3 years later, 1687, they decided that tolls were needed. So they did think, actually this could work. But again, within 4 or 5 years after that date, it fell out of use. I think 1702 it's tried to be picked up again, but really this was sort of the ideas and the technology wasn't enough. Are we lost?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure which direction to go now, to be honest.
Okay. I mean, on our channel we do old routes, railways, canals, abandoned ancient roads, Roman roads. So we did a Roman road the other day, 2,000 years old, and we see more evidence of a 2,000-year-old Roman road than we did today's navigation.
That is very true.
Which is 300 years old.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. I want to say I'm disappointed, but I'm not, because it's still interesting. It's still something that we tried to find and we couldn't find much of it, apart from kind of one bit.
And it was lovely weather, it was a gorgeous day out.
It was lovely weather, gorgeous day out. We got to see some things we'd never seen before, as always, so that is the joy of doing it. We wanted to give you more information, we wanted to give you so much to see, but that doesn't always work out that way, I guess.
No, not really. But you know, hey-ho.
So we've been Paul and Rebecca, and this has been the Avon Navigation. Thanks for watching. As always, give it a like if you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed what we do. Either way, we'll see you this time next week.